You wake before the city stirs, and the ache of being behind presses your ribs. Do you wonder if doors closed while you were still learning to breathe? In this pale hour, birdsong threads the quiet, and a breeze calms the trees. The hush becomes a sanctuary where you can offer honest lament, and let unhurrying grace steady your pulse. The one who keeps time without error holds you. The shepherd who restores, the Father who names your worth beyond comparison. Here you set down the ruler of comparison and receive present, moment manna, a simple portion for today. Here you ask for courage to begin again, not to sprint, but to walk in a kept pace that matches his heart. Psalm 20:71 Few, wait for the Lord. Strength grows as you lean into his cadence. Delay is not denial. Preparation makes you ready to receive. This hour invites you to lay aside anxious plans, listen for his voice, and let true guidance turn your face toward light. What burden will you entrust to his hands, and what desire will you place under his care for the right hour? Now, as your heart grows still, we step into the way he sets before you. You begin by telling the truth in the soft grey of morning. It itches to feel late to the story. Like trains keep departing while you stand on the platform holding a ticket that never matches the schedule. You say it without decoration, without apology. You name how timelines on screens bruise your focus, how birthdays and milestones stack like stones, how your chest tightens when someone asks, "So where are you now?" You allow the weight to surface, not to drown you, but to be carried into presence. You breathe in for 4, out for 6, and each exhale becomes a letting go, each inhale a receiving. This is not complaint, this is truth offered to the one who loves you. So Psalm 62:8, pour out your heart before him, he is a refuge. When words tangle, tears still speak. Openness becomes a key that unlocks the quiet room where courage returns. In that room you stop rehearsing tidy replies and let sentences come unpolished. You tell God about the checklist that keeps resetting, the savings that feel thin, the pressure to smile when you want to sleep. You describe the tiredness behind your eyes and the dull envy you wish you did not feel. You admit you compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 10, and the gap looks like a canyon. By naming it, you lift the sting of secrecy. Shadows lose their teeth. You are not scolding yourself for feeling. You are inviting healing to enter the exact place that aches. Now you trace the origin of the pain. Was it a promise broken that made your calendar feel cursed? Was it a detour that became a wilderness? You hold those memories up to the early light and ask for accurate sight. You remember that delay can be direction, that slowness can be skill building, that hidden seasons produce roots. You acknowledge your limits without despising them. Limits are not walls. They are edges where God meets you with wisdom, like a shoreline where waves learn their rhythm. You consent to be taught a gentler tempo than the world demands. You choose to be coached by wisdom rather than chased by hurry. You also learn to bless the ones who passed you on the road. You bless the friend who married, the co-worker who launched, the classmate whose venture soared. Their acceleration does not steal your air. You say, goodness is not a scarce resource, and you mean it, even if your voice trembles. In blessing others, you pry open your clenched hands and circulation returns. The ache does not vanish, but it grows lighter as generosity warms your fingers. Your inner world, once cramped by comparison, gains room again to stretch. Then you ask for a different metric. You ask to measure life by fidelity, not fireworks, by daily faithfulness, not noisy applause. You ask for the bravery to be small in the world's eyes while growing large in love. You ask to trade the stopwatch for a compass. You picture a meadow path instead of a racetrack dew lifting, swallows stitching the sky. You imagine Jesus walking that path beside you at human speed, attending to one face, one need, one step. Something in you loosens its grip on the timetable and chooses a truer direction, one that cares more about becoming than arriving. Finally, you lay your story in His hands again. You offer the year, the week, this hour. You whisper the name you avoid and the task you postpone. You say, "Teach me to lament without looping, to feel without freezing, to speak without spiraling." You pause until the pause becomes prayer. The day does not change color all at once, but you do. What began as a knot settles into a strand you can hold. Morning has not hurried you, it has received you. You rise prepared, not because circumstances shifted, but because honesty cleared the way for grace to lead. You enter this quiet as if stepping onto a shoreline before sunrise, and the old surge of rushing breaks, then draws back. The world will soon start shouting agendas, but for now you stand where waves kiss sand and time stretches gentle. You refuse the script that says faster means faithful. You let mercy be a soft hand on your shoulder, guiding you to sit, to notice, to receive. You picture a table laid with simple bread, steam rising, nothing urgent, only enough. You whisper, "Teach me the cadence of enough." The anxiety that once pinched your chest loosens, a fuller breath returns. The pressure to sprint evaporates like dew. You begin to breathe on purpose, in for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. With each inhale you say, "Beloved," and with each exhale, "Released." You imagine God's kindness settling over your nerves the way morning light settles on water. No force, only presence. Your shoulders lower. Your jaw unlocks. The clock does not rule you. It serves the one who carries you. You are not trying to earn oxygen. You are receiving it. In this rhythm, shame loses language and your focus grows clear as a bell. Ease does not mean apathy. It means confidence that help stands near. You consider the habits that keep you breathless. You chase alerts as if they were sirens. You stack commitments until your calendar groans. You mistake being needed for being whole. Now you choose another path, smaller loads, deeper roots. You are not a machine. You are soil where good seed can set down. Let your movements be governed by compassion rather than comparison, by purpose rather than panic. The shepherd does not stampede you. He calls you by name and walks. You align your steps with that call, not the crowd's tempo. Slowness becomes a sacrament, not a stigma. Isaiah 37:5, in returning and rest you find rescue. In quiet strength you are steadied. Turning back is not defeat, it is direction. Silence is not emptiness, it is space where wisdom speaks. You look at the stories where Jesus moved without frenzy, pausing for the woman who touched his robe, listening to Bartimaeus by the road, dining unhurried in homes no one else honored. Interruptions became appointments, and delays became scenes for tenderness. You tell yourself, interruptible is holy. You plan margin to greet a neighbor, to taste breakfast instead of swallowing it whole, To let sunlight touch your eyelids for 10 slow seconds before emails. The more you honor margin, the more you notice nudges you use to outrun. Guidance sounds less like thunder and more like a robin tapping the window. You give your calendar back to God. You lay the backlog on the table. And together you sort, keep, defer, release. You bless what is not yours to carry. You bless what can be done simply. You choose one priority for the morning, and you bless the rest to wait. As you focus, your sense of dignity returns. Productivity becomes the fruit of presence, not proof of value. You work like a gardener, till a small plot, water what is planted. Trust the unseen growth, close the gate when daylight fades. Now you walk into the day like someone stepping into a stream, expecting the current to hold, not sweep you under. You rise with kindness toward your own frame and with patience for those around you. You speak slower, decide clearer, listen longer. Your minutes widen. Your breath remains deep. Unhurrying grace does not cancel responsibility. It teaches you to carry it with a quiet spine and a generous gaze. The sun has climbed a finger's breadth, and you are ready, not to race, but to move faithfully within a loving pace. You stand at the edge of morning and notice how quickly your gaze slides sideways, tallying who advanced, who acquired, who arrived. That sideways look drains color from your own horizon, so you face forward again. You tell your restless thoughts. You are not a statistic on someone else's chart. The one who flung constellations across black sky also breathed a particular story into your chest. Your value is steady, not a number that rises with applause or drops with silence. You are named, known, and held. You are not a project for public vote. You picture a hillside orchard. Some trees burst with early fruit, others are only leaf and promise. No gardener rebukes a sapling for failing to bear in spring when its design is autumn. You are not late, you are specific. You bless your design and ask to flourish according to it. Envy withers in the presence of gratitude. You begin thanking God for the form given to you. Your way of thinking, your manner of care, the pace at which wisdom takes root. Gentle acceptance does not make you settle, it frees strength to grow. Joy returns in small, honest ways. You hold a mirror to the metrics that mislead you. Likes, salaries, timelines, and titles. Each can be good, none can define. A photograph is a frame, not the field. What sits outside the edges may hold the truer tale. You resolve to judge less and inquire more. What did it cost them? What help did they receive? What sacrifice did they choose? Curiosity turns comparison into compassion. You find yourself cheering for others without shrinking. You learn to say, their gain is not your loss. And you mean it with a calm heart. Ephesians 2:10, you are God's workmanship, crafted for particular good works prepared in advance. Your design is intentional. Your placement is purposeful. Calling grows clearer as you walk, not as you worry. You practice new confessions. You say your name with kindness. You speak mercy over the stretch marks of your story. You bless the skills that took longer to build. You write 3 truths to carry. Beloved precedes productive. Formation outruns fame. Faithfulness is success. These become index cards for your thoughts, ready when the scroll of rivalry starts its loop. You add a habit when you admire someone. You extract a lesson instead of a label. You ask what you can learn from their courage, their discipline, and their endurance, and then you translate that insight into one small action today. You remember moments when your presence mattered, a quiet visit at a hospital, a late night call that steadied a friend, a task done without announcing it. None of those would trend, yet heaven counted them weighty. In the kingdom, a cup of cold water registers more than many headlines. You are measured by love. That measurement lets you sleep and then rise with light hands, ready to serve without scorekeeping. The pressure to be dazzling gives way to a desire to be true. Relief replaces the pinch of rivalry. Serenity replaces the sting of envy. Finally, you anchor this morning in a request that fits your name. You ask to be led to the works made for your hands, to be guarded from striving that erases joy, to be taught to celebrate others without abandoning the assignment entrusted to you. With that, calm settles like mist over a field. The sun edges higher, and you feel held within a story that does not need comparison to be bright. You step forward convinced you are not behind. You are becoming. You stand under a sky rinsed by early light and decide to gather what this hour gives rather than mourn what yesterday withheld. You open your hands, and instead of a month's map, you receive a single breadcrumb of direction, a quiet nudge, a strength that matches the weight you actually carry. You learn the art of just enough clarity to choose the next task, enough courage to make one call, enough calm to drink water slowly and notice sparrows stitching the air. Sufficiency, not stockpiles, steadies your pace. You remember how anxiety loves to sprint ahead into imaginations of scarcity, but you bring it back to the shoreline where waves keep arriving, wave after wave, never missing their cue. Provision behaves like that, arriving on schedule that is wiser than panic. You do not hoard seconds, you inhabit them. You taste breakfast instead of scrolling through it. You let sunlight cross the floorboards and consider it a reminder the giver is punctual, even when your plans feel delayed. Enough for today is not a compromise. It is kindness tailored to your frame. St. Matthew 16:11, give us today our daily bread. Your request is present tense on purpose. Generosity meets you in real time. Planning has its place, but trust breathes here, in the span of this morning, in the step beneath your feet. You practice collecting the day's measure. You write the smallest faithful action and do it before you negotiate yourself out of it. You send the email. You stretch for 5 minutes. You wash the dish. You pray a name. You allow one simple obedience to become a door. Often the second step becomes visible only after the first is taken. Light expands like dawn. Increment by increment, not all at once. As you move within that glow, worry loses its megaphone. Your shoulders lower because you are no longer trying to lift an entire season with one hand. You also learn to release leftovers. Yesterday's failure, last week's embarrassment, the stale vow that you must make up for lost time in a single surge. Old crumbs do not nourish. Fresh grace does. You do not drag regret into the new sunlight. You compost it, trusting it to become wisdom. When you feel the itch to over, prepare out of fear. You pause and ask, what is mine to gather now, and what belongs to God's keeping? That question filters noise from guidance. Your bag grows lighter, your step more sure. You bless limits because they protect wonder. You can attend to one person, not everyone. You can finish one assignment well, not 10 thinly. You let this boundary be a friend that points you toward focus. You name resources you do have: time blocks, a mentor's sentence, a quiet space, a sturdy promise, and you build with those bricks. The structure of a faithful day rises slowly but soundly. As the sun climbs, you find that present moment manna tastes like peace flavored with purpose, like patience that still moves, like hope that hums quietly beneath your breath. Finally, you hold out your hands again and ask for today's portion for the next small step. You ask to recognize it when it arrives, perhaps as an opening, perhaps as a no, perhaps as holy restraint. You commit to use what is given without comparing it to what is withheld. You walk forward carrying enough for this stretch of road, trusting that around the bend, new supply will meet you exactly where your foot lands. The day feels less like a race and more like a pilgrimage, measured, sustained, and guided. You stand at the morning's edge, where hesitation lingers like fog along a riverbank, and you decide not to wait for perfect clarity. You choose the smallest motion that agrees with truth. A message sent, a page opened, shoes by the door, a kettle set to boil. You feel the hum of resistance, but you do not negotiate with it. You move through it, the way a swallow slips through cool air, guided by something older than fear. You tell yourself, start small, start kind, start now. You learn that boldness rarely feels like fireworks. It feels like a key turning, like dew lifting from grass, like a finger pressing submit. Even while your pulse taps loudly, you do not pretend the tremor is gone. You let devotion carry it. You borrow strength from the faithful who began before feeling ready, and you add your name to their quiet lineage. Scenery will change after movement begins. Sight expands after motion, not before it. Rather than predict the entire path, you honor the next inch. Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Presence, not pressure, fuels your forward motion. Companionship outlives adrenaline, and companionship is promised. You set up your day to favor beginnings. You decide a tiny target, 5 minutes with the task that matters most. You silence one notification stream. You place what you need within reach so momentum has no obstacles. You treat the first attempt as a draft, not a verdict. You tell the critic to wait outside while you practice, knowing refinement will come. You adopt a phrase for this hour: steady first inches, and repeat it until your hands remember it. You recognize that bravery often looks like honesty with limits. You say no to undertakings that dilute calling. You say yes to assignments that align with design, even if they look humble. You give yourself permission to build slowly, like a mason laying true stones rather than stacking fragile bricks in a rush. When anxiety insists that everything must happen today, you answer with craft: one clean stroke, one faithful call, one honest conversation. Mastery is the echo of many beginnings done gently. You confront the fear of failure by redefining it. Stopping without a lesson is the loss. Stumbling while learning is formation. You plan for slight course corrections the way sailors expect wind shifts. When you drift, you do not dramatize, you adjust. You keep tools simple: a list with 3 lines, a timer, a prayer breathed under your breath. You let repetition become an ally. Day after day, the first step grows lighter because your body trusts your word. You also mingle courage with compassion. You speak to your nervous system. With kindness, unclench your jaw. Lengthen your exhale. Feel the floor under your feet. You invite God into the exact moment you would usually rush past. You ask for one person to serve before noon and one task to close with integrity by evening. You value follow through more than flair. When applause is absent, you celebrate alignment. When results are slow, you celebrate obedience. At last, you picture the path ahead as a trail through light, dappled trees. You will not sprint this trail. You will take it with attentive stride. The first stone waits beneath your foot. The second will appear when you press forward. You are not behind. You are underway. The sound of birds returns. The breeze lifts the leaves, and your choice becomes a quiet yes that names the day. You begin, and that beginning is already a victory. You greet the widening light and choose to be kept, not only sheltered, but calibrated. Kept means you resist sprinting when anxiety whistles, and you refuse to lag when quiet courage calls. You match your stride to presence. You trade the stopwatch for a compass and let direction matter more than speed. You picture a shepherd setting the flock's cadence at the speed of the smallest lamb. That mercy becomes your metronome. You are not dragged by urgency or stalled by doubt. You travel with a measured, attentive step that honors both strength and tenderness. You find freedom in a tempo that fits your frame and serves love. You begin to notice the signals that safeguard this cadence. Calm expands when you are aligned. Agitation spikes when you overreach. So you practice small checks through the day. Relax your shoulders. Soften your gaze. Lengthen your exhale. You ask, is this urgent or merely loud? Is this faithful or simply familiar? Those questions trim hurry from habit. You no longer equate movement with meaning. Healthy momentum forms as breath and intention link, like wind passing through reeds without breaking them. In this gentler rhythm, focus sharpens, and kindness survives pressure. Distraction loses its grip because your attention knows where to dwell. You bless seasons as they are. Some hours are for seed, others for harvest, and others for hidden root. You resist the myth that arrival must be immediate. You accept holy detours as instruments, not interruptions. When doors pause, you cultivate what remains inside your reach: skill, character, listening. When doors open, you walk through with humility, not haste. Either way, you are kept, guided by timing that shields you from weight you cannot yet carry and from apathy that would make you miss your appointed moment. Delay becomes preparation, acceleration becomes assignment, both serve formation. You adopt simple anchors that keep you steady. Morning, one sentence of surrender. Midday, one act of service. Evening, one gratitude named aloud. Between them, you weave small Sabbaths. 2 minutes of stillness between meetings, a slow sip of water after a call, a brief walk that reacquaints your senses with sky and leaf. These humble anchors are not rules. They are rails that keep attention from sliding into the ditch of distraction. Your life becomes less of a blur and more of a pilgrimage. Measured, purposeful, resilient. You do not rush what should ripen. You do not idle when love prompts action. You also learn to bless the speeds of others without betraying your own. Some will hurry past. You release them with goodwill. Some will move slower. You choose patience over pressure. Partnership becomes possible when you are not policing the clock. You listen for gentle nudges that ask you to pause for a neighbor, to linger over a conversation, to notice the hawk describing slow circles above a field. Wonder begins to punctuate your day like quiet bells. It softens your tone, brightens your eyes, and keeps your work human. Where wonder lives, resentment thins and generosity grows. Finally, you give yourself permission to move at the speed of love. Love listens, notices, and chooses what serves another even if it delays applause. It leaves room for laughter, for mourning, for learning. It turns timelines into testimonies and lateness into a story of care taken along the way. As the light strengthens, you feel sheltered within a tempo that honors your design. You are not behind in a race. You were never called to run. You are kept in companionship that refuses to rush you past what truly matters. You step forward steady, aligned with a wiser clock. This morning, you rest inside a kinder tempo. You are not late, you are led. Exhale the ruler and welcome the portion meant for today. Speak one sentence of surrender. Choose one act of service. Notice one wonder in the sky or in a face. When hurry calls, return to the compass of love, not the clock of pressure. Let interruption become invitation, effort become devotion, and outcomes return to God's keeping. Walk forward with an open gaze and an unhurried heart, trusting good fruit to appear in season. Be still for 5 breaths and listen.